Welcome to Pipeline Visionaries. I'm Ian Faison, CEO of Caspian Studios, and today I'm joined by a special guest. Tamir, how are you?
I'm doing very well, Ian. Yourself?
Oh, excited to have you on the show. Excited to talk Trintech, your background, marketing, and everything in between. And today's show is always brought to you by our friends at Qualified.com and Piper, your AI SDR. You can go to Qualified.com to go check out Piper. Everybody loves Piper, the best AI SDR there ever was, never will be. Go to Qualified.com. First question, Tamir, what was your first job in marketing?
Yeah, so first job right out of college was joined a software company and was mostly in event management, event marketing, primarily doing trade shows. So fresh out of college, I had the opportunity to go around the country setting up the trade show booth and making sure all the salespeople showed up and making sure the messaging is aligned, and did that for a good 1 year in terms of just understanding what it meant to manage projects, manage budgets, but more importantly is how do you communicate your value prop to your audience, especially in a crowded expo hall. So that was my first role out of college. It was exciting because it introduced me to what marketing was. And this was way back in the late 90s, so kind of revealing my age. But it was an exciting time to be in marketing because it was kind of the transition from that expo in-person type of events to the digital world.
And flash forward to today. Tell us what it means to be CMO at Trintech.
Yeah, so being a CMO at Trintech, it changes every day, almost every hour. There's, in the morning I'm talking to our customers. Later in the day, I'm talking to partners, talking to our board, talking to employees. So it varies, and life at Trintech is just amazing when you hear what our customers are getting from our solution. One of our philosophies and why we exist is this concept of time, Ian. If you look at the most valuable currency in the world, it's really time. The
Yeah.
time that we are spending today on our podcast, we'll just never get back. So, and the time, obviously, the audience is listening, they'll never get back. So, time is the most precious currency we have in the world. And Trintech is focused on giving the finance and accounting teams time back so they could focus on more of the strategic items in terms of either data insights or strategic decision making, or for professional growth and for their life passions, whether it's family, whether it's learning a new instrument or traveling or cooking. So we focus on getting the manual grunt work. And being a CMO, it's exciting because you hear about the outcomes our customers are getting from using our solution.
Amazing. Let's get to our first segment, the trust tree, where you go and feel honest and trusted and share those deepest, darkest pipeline secrets. Tell us more about what Trintech's product suite does.
Yeah, so our products are intended to help the finance accounting teams to shorten the cycle for financial close. No matter what the company's size, they have to close their books every month, every quarter. And for some companies, it's every day, right? If you look at the financial companies or the retail companies, where every day they have to reconcile their financial books. So what Trintech does is we provide the solution to be able to shorten that, take out the manual grunt work, and automate that from the entire life cycle. So our software focuses on making sure that the financial data that the CFO and the executive team is looking at is accurate, it's up to date, and it's trusted, that they could actually trust and make decisions based on that financial data, whether it's presenting it to their board, their investors, presenting it to the market, or making decisions to where to invest or divest.
Amazing. Who is your customer base?
Yeah, so at Trintech, we have a very different approach than our competitors. So we have a couple of different solutions, and our philosophy is one size does not fit all. So it's not like we have one product that addresses everyone in the market. We have several tailored versions of our platform. We have customers that range from the largest banks, financial institutions, and retail. So anywhere from like the Bank of Americas to all the way down to the credit unions. And then we also have a global footprint. So we have offices around the globe, in Europe, across Asia, and our customers include world-known brands that you rely on, as well as smaller organizations. And what makes us unique is that everyone has to close their financial statements and their financial books. But a smaller company, a company with 50 to 100 employees, have much very different needs than a company that has 100,000 employees. So we're able to tailor our solution based on the company's profile, whether they are a global company, a local company, or they have specific industry needs.
Amazing. And yeah, what's the buying committee look like?
Yeah, so the buying committee ranges, it absolutely has evolved. So the traditional buyer and the persona that we talk to are the controllers or the VP of finance, VP of accounting. Typically, it's the teams that are responsible for closing their financial books every month or every quarter. Lately, there's IT involved, right? In terms of just making sure from an IT perspective that we are aligned with the IT governance and IT roadmap, especially when it comes to AI, which I'm sure we'll talk about later in the podcast. And then another interesting title that definitely has come up is like VP of Digital Transformation or VP of digital strategy, right? In terms of individuals and functions that are focused and compensated and measured in terms of transformation and change management. Because one of the things we provide is a true change management of how people have been doing certain process and getting the manual grunt work out. And again, giving back time so the finance accounting teams can focus on being more strategic or other projects.
If you could sum up your marketing strategy in a minute, what would it be?
It's really focusing on the customer. And that's one of the things I learned early on in my career is that anytime you really focus on the customer, everything else will follow. So from a marketing strategy, it's essentially following and focusing on the customer in terms of their journey map of how they evaluate and select solutions, how they use the solutions, understanding where our customers are at, whether it's in events or online digitally. So what I tell the team is if you focus on the customer in terms of their buying process, in terms of their persona, in terms of what's keeping them up at night, in terms of turning every customer into a hero or to an advocate, right? Creating case studies. So like, for example, last year we created over 40 or 45 case studies, again, turning every customer into an advocate so they could tell the story in terms of the business outcomes they're getting from Trintech. So the strategy in 1 minute or in 3 seconds is really focusing on the customer.
Love that. And we'll dig a lot more into that here later. And then how big is your marketing team and how do you structure your org?
Yeah, so the marketing team today is about 35 and growing. We just had 2 new starters this week. And in terms of organization structure and organization design, one of the key principles I have is making sure that we are grouping expertise together and that you have proper governance and checks and balances in the organization. So, 10, 15 years ago, Ian, right, it was very common and almost like a positive to be kind of a jack of all trades. Marketing has evolved so much in terms of using data, in terms of being creative, in terms of doing research, in terms of bringing digital expertise in-house. So the way I structured the Trintech organization is making sure you're grouping functions together so you can scale, but also making sure that you are putting projects and initiatives that teams have to work together. So the team is structured very simply is we have a product team. They're focused in terms of the product offering, in terms of the outcomes, the benefits, the personas, the competitive landscape, the go-to-market motions. Team focused on the corporate marketing in terms of the brand, really driving kind of the brand platform of who we are as an organization, in terms of the content, in terms of the awareness and the external communications. I have a demand gen team. They're focused on generating top of the funnel demand, but also helping the sales and partner teams accelerate and progress opportunities are in funnel. And then the fourth group, is the marketing operations team. So this is the team that's focused on the experience that our employees have, the marketing team, as well as our customers. So anywhere from our tech stack, our processes, the data, the governance, they make sure everyone is working together through systems, and the experience is amazing.
Awesome. All right, let's get to our next segment, the playbook, where you open up your playbook and talk about the tactics that help you win. What are your top 3 channels or tactics that are your uncuttable budget items?
I wouldn't necessarily call them channels. I'll call them maybe strategies or tactics. I think that's probably more appropriate. So First one is tied to personalization and making sure that the message resonates. As we both know, right, we just get so much information into our lives, right? Whether it's through email, social media, our devices, etc. And how do you differentiate? And how do you cut through the noise? So one of our tactics is making sure that we're personalizing the message to the right audience. One of my pet peeves is saying the right message at the right time at the right channel, right? That's like so cliche to say. But it's at the heart of what we want to do, Ian, is making sure that the message is personalized to the industry, to the persona that we're going to, and to the topic. Second tactic is really creating high quality in-person events. One thing COVID taught us is that things can be done remotely very easily. But the other thing COVID has taught us is the value of that personal connection and that human connection of shaking hands, enjoying a cup of coffee together or a meal together, and nothing could really replace that inhuman experience. So really that inhuman human or the in-person, I should say, interaction, whether it's at a trade show, an industry conference, at our user conference that we brought back last year, making sure that they're high quality and people can connect. And then the third is just from a customer advocacy and turning every customer into a hero. Our message and our brand gets amplified when our customers are telling the story. So how do we empower each customer to tell the story? So using kind of those three tactics is something that I continue putting more budget towards. And then wrapping that around in terms of working with our partners. So one of Trintech's value and what makes us different is our partner ecosystem. One of the things that our customers have said over and over is that they can't do it alone, that they rely on partners to help them in terms of their transformation, in terms of the deployment, in terms of the selection, in terms of the maturity, going from the maturity in terms of AI. So working with our partners. So looking at our partners for that personalization message, working with our partners in terms of making events much better and more fulfilling. And then obviously from a customer advocacy, helping our customers tell the story through their lens, but also with the partners.
Yeah, I love that. And the partner piece makes it a lot more sort of complex. What ways are you telling those stories? Like what formats, what styles, what lengths?
Yeah, it mixes. So we start off with a customer interview. So we want to understand how the customer is using our solution. We want to make sure that they are recognizing the outcomes and the value that they've thought about or that they've put on paper to for the business case to deploy Trintech solutions. Once we have that interview and the content, we typically do a video interview. We'll translate that into a case study, into a printable case study. And what we'll do is extract certain pieces of content and place that onto different channels, onto social media like LinkedIn, Facebook, not so much Facebook, but also like Facebook, on our website. And if our customers are willing, they stand up and go to conferences. So for example, we have an upcoming event where we're doing a co-presentation with KeyBank in terms of how they're using Trintech with Workday. So it varies depending on the customer's comfort level, and also depends in terms of what the campaign of the month is, right? So we try to be aligned with themes. Doesn't always work, but our goal is to have themes, and depending on the themes, we'll take different quotes. We'll put the quotes to support the theme or to support a specific value prop that we want to communicate to the market.
Amazing. What about your most cuttable budget item or something that's not working or fading away?
So what's fading away. I would look at just overloading with the marketing technology stack, right? So today, a lot of marketing technology stacks are being consolidated. Some categories that historically were very separate are now joining, which makes sense in terms of the user experience and productivity. So we're looking at our MarTech stack and seeing where there's overlap, because there's a lot of overlap, making sure that we're also leveraging everything that the offering gives us, right? Making sure that we're going back to the business case and going back to what we said we were going to deploy. And if we're only using 40% of the functionality, then is it really worth spending the X amount of dollars? So that's probably one area that just being very diligent and disciplined in terms of where we're spending. The impact on AI, which I'm sure we'll get to, right, is definitely changing in terms of how we deploy technologies. So that's an area that I don't want to say it's fading away. It's just really changing, and it's important for us and for me, right, to making sure that we're staying ahead of the curve.
Very cool. Do you have a favorite campaign that you ran?
So probably my favorite campaign in my career was this concept going back probably 10 years ago, maybe even more, maybe 11 years ago. I was working for a company where we were trying to create a new category around information governance, and it was a new category that just didn't exist. And we were at a conference and at a bar, just kind of just talking about the day. And I remember seeing a billboard going into, it was actually in New York City. I remember seeing a billboard right when you go into the Lincoln Tunnel that said Home Depot's official sponsor of Father's Day. And I'm thinking to myself, how is Home Depot the official sponsor of Father's Day, right? Father's Day is like a Hallmark holiday, or it's a holiday that's just there. And you have Home Depot, that's the official sponsor of Father's Day. So it kind of triggered this idea of, why can't we as a company be the official sponsor of this concept called information governance? It's a new category, something brand new. So it was really created as a joke at a bar, and it became real. And it became so real, Ian, that like 2 years later, we had like 15 or 20 different competitors start talking about it. It became so real, it became an entry into Wikipedia. It became so real that if you go to ChatGPT or any AI tool and say, what is Global Information Governance Day, you'll see data. So it's just like this campaign that really started as like, not as a joke, but as like, hey, we could be the official sponsor too. To becoming like this real thing. So, in my career, that's probably the campaign that makes me smile. And to this day, by the way, you'll still see posts on LinkedIn and Twitter about, hey, happy Global Information Governance Day. I think it's like the second or third Thursday of every February. So almost like a Thanksgiving, right? Every third Thursday, it's of February, it's Global Information Governance Day. And it still exists. And this is going back like 12 years ago.
Yeah, I got to check this out. That's so funny. Hey, it's on Wikipedia. And it's even got your name there.
Yeah, it became real.
One of the founders.
It really became real. Like, and it was, again, the first year was kind of okay. Like the second year, like the real flag and thing was when our competitors were saying it and joining, and it just became this thing of, yeah, let's celebrate Global Information Governance Day. Again, it just started as an idea at a bar, and it's pretty cool.
Very cool. How do you think about like doing experiments and spending money and on new stuff?
I love it. So I always instruct the team to put budget aside in terms of doing something new. One of my philosophies on my whiteboard for many years is make a new mistake today, encouraging the team to make mistakes. And Ian, I take it to a crazy level, is that every year marketing has a mistake of the year contest where people submit their biggest mistake.
Oh my God.
And then we all vote of who made the biggest mistake, and that person wins usually like $250, $300. So I started this about a decade ago, and the team loves it because they celebrate their mistakes. And typically the mistakes are campaigns, right? In terms of, we ran this campaign, we thought it would be a great idea. We thought of this messaging that was something that's unique or provocative or disruptive, and it completely fell short, right? So people are celebrating their mistakes. And then at the end, we all vote for who made the biggest mistake. And that person usually wins like an iPad or, something that's material, right? Something that's material.
That's so fun. Can you share any of the mistakes that were made?
Yeah, I'll take one from a previous company to protect the guilty or protect the innocent. One of the biggest mistakes that my previous company did is we did a full campaign to go after the compliance officer, because we thought the compliance officer was a persona that was like going to be like really key in the buying process. And we spent probably a good amount of money going to a couple of compliance events, realizing that the compliance officer has zero budget, has zero authority to purchase any software. It's like maybe part of the process, but not really part of the process. And it was just a total failure, right? So that was a good mistake, and that person won an iPad.
I love it.
Yeah.
So wait, what's the slogan again?
Make a new mistake today.
Make a new mistake today. I love it.
Just as long as it's a new mistake, right? Just as long as it's a new mistake, because you have to take the mistake and learn from that. But yeah, that's the slogan.
I love it. That's great. That's so good. Who votes? Is it just you? Do you make the ultimate decision, or is this group voted on?
It's group voted, real time. We use a survey tool. Everyone votes. They get a link, and they vote.
That's so awesome. That's great. I love that. What a great cultural, little idiosyncrasy and a fun way to get experiments out there. Okay, so then what are your good experiments? What are things that people have done that worked?
Yeah, so a couple things that worked recently. One of them is shipping iPads to two iPads to two different personas in the customer, and giving a password, and that they have to find the other person to get a password to unlock the iPad. That has worked, right? Because our job is we want to connect, make internal connections with various departments. So that has worked pretty well, generated opportunities and generated interest, etc. Another campaign I've worked at 3 different companies, and I love this campaign. I hope our competitors are not listening to this, but it's getting a remote control helicopter, taking the remote control out, and then sending the helicopter via FedEx or UPS, and just telling them if they take a meeting, we'll give you the controller to take off, or to fly above your competition. That has worked also very well, with a very personalized letter to the executive. It got people's attention. The fact that you're sending it via FedEx or UPS almost guarantees that the person will get it. So that's been also a pretty good campaign. And then just the idea of giving time back and double downing on that message, in terms of, if you use Trintech, here's how many hours you can save, or how many days. It's typically days. And this is something we try to capture as much as possible in our case studies, is going from a 10-day financial close to a 5-day financial close. And we have customers that have literally cut their days off. So being very prescriptive in terms of the value and the business outcome that our customers should expect when they deploy Trintech. And sometimes it's just real outcomes, and just explaining the value prop to the customers. I know it sounds simple, Ian, but once you start putting very precise days or time, especially when it's connected to your purpose, it works. It really does work.
Yeah, I like that. So do you ever get any pushback for the sending the complex thing, that if they don't take the meeting, or is it, or just generally people think it's fun and cute?
We did get some pushback. Some customers did send it back, but that's the minority. I'd rather take that hit and some nasty grams of we're filling the garbage landmine and such. I'd rather take that than that. So, but the benefit outweighs the hit.
Yeah. No, it's just an interesting sort of thought there of, when people are afraid to do those things, how much really do people care? Yeah, and I like the idea of sort of just being simple and getting the value prop across. What about AI tools? What AI tools are you using?
Yeah, so we have several tools that's kind of built into our current stack right now. But one of the things we've invested in is the enterprise version of ChatGPT. We've plugged it into different libraries and sources. We created a marketing GPT that the marketing team uses, that we're able to quickly create content, etc. We've put in plugins into WordPress, into our website, for translations, for form completion. We within our marketing automation system, we use some AI in terms of email creation, and in terms of just analysis of campaign results, kind of just testing different tools. And the idea is to continue innovating. One of the things we do is every other Monday, someone on the team has to present on how they're using AI to the rest of the team. It's called AI and Coffee because of the time difference. It's usually AI and lunch, but to support our European colleagues, we do it in the morning, and it's Monday morning, and we take turns, and people get on a Teams call and share how they're using AI. And what that has created implicitly is it forced people to come up with new use cases, new ways of using it, because they don't want to do something that someone last week presented or 2 weeks presented. Oh, let me just show you how to create a social media blog. That stuff is that's easy. So I'm really challenging the team on how to be creative. And just to give you an example, the last one, right? We had a very detailed in terms of how do you create a full email nurture program? How do you create a list? How do you analyze the results of that nurture program? So really kind of an A to Z of how do you create like a nurture program using AI? And one of the things that I kind of stress to the team, Ian, is that it's really important for the human to stay involved and to making sure that we review, sometimes double check anything that's AI created. So it's an exciting time to be in marketing. And as you know, the world of AI is moving so fast. And I challenge the team, how do we stay ahead of it?
Anything we miss? Other cool stuff that you're doing, or whether it's campaigns or budget items or just things that are working?
I want to just stress the user conference and the in-person events, right? When people are willing to travel or spend face time with you, there's a reason, right? They're either learning, they're evaluating, they're considering, right? They're making decisions, and creating those high quality events is something that I don't want to either underrepresent them or just undervalue them, because it is really critical in terms of building those connections.
Yeah, that's great. Anything that you're doing at events to like stand out?
Nothing specifically to stand out. We do try to do some creative giveaways. We do focus on high quality restaurants or venues, I should say, high quality venues, right? Our target audience are finance professionals and accounting professionals. And sometimes they don't always get to benefit some of the nice venues. So we like to making sure that we do that. The other thing too we do is also like donations to charities. So if you attend, right, and there's a specific charity that you associate yourself with, we've done that before a few times in terms of making donations on behalf of people as they come. So it's more of like a do good, and they're able to put some money towards a charity of their choice. Something unique, right? As opposed to coming in and you're getting like a $100 pen or a water bottle, right? It's just like, instead of a gift, guess what? You could donate the money towards a charity.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, let's get to the dust up, where we talk about healthy tension, whether that's with your board, your sales teams, your competitors, or anyone else. Have you had a memorable dust up in your career, Tamir?
Many. I don't even know where to start. Probably the biggest one in my career was my last company when we tried to rebrand. When we did rebrand the previous company. I worked for a company for 8.5 years as CMO, and there's kind of two different stories, right? I was working for a subsidiary of a much bigger organization, and the much bigger organization allowed the subsidiaries to run with their own P&L, their own brand, their own roadmap, their own sales organization, infrastructure, etc. So very decentralized organization. And I was head of the software division, and I was promoted after 4 years to lead, to be the CMO of the bigger organization. And one of my missions working with the CEO and the executive team is to rebrand the organization. And at the time, the organization was called Neopost, a publicly traded company in Europe, about 1.2 billion, 6,000 employees, 450,000 customers, B2B customers. And the mission was to rebrand Neopost. And the dust up, Ian, was just the pushback, right? Is that, oh, this is a brand, you can't name it. It's impossible. The amount of people that told me it's impossible, difficult at all levels within the organization, whether it was new employees, not. And the more people that told me it's impossible, I said, it's actually pretty simple. Created a project called Project Simple and really brought the team together. So really rebranding this 100-year organization that's publicly traded, very French historic, very strong history in France and renaming them. That was probably the biggest dust up in my career. One of the
Love
biggest.
it. All right, let's get to our final segment. Quick hits. These are quick questions and quick answers, just like how Qualified.com helps companies generate pipeline quickly. You can go to Qualified.com to learn more how to supercharge your website for inbound conversion and get Piper, your AI SDR. Quick hits. Tamir, are you ready?
Yes.
All right, number one, do you have a hidden talent or skill that's not on your resume?
Yes. Ignoring the noise. There's a lot of noise, and I just ignore it.
Like that. Do you have a favorite book, podcast, or TV show that you'd recommend?
If I had to pick one, it'd probably be Jeffrey Moore's book. It's a little old, but very, very relevant. It's Crossing the Chasm. It's one of my favorite books. I recommend everyone to read it.
One of the best. Do you have a favorite non-marketing hobby that indirectly maybe makes you a better marketer?
Yeah, I'm a music fan. Love the band Rush. I know some people hold that against me. And being a hobby of or very passionate about music, Rush has definitely made me a much better person, better husband, better father, and absolutely a better leader and marketer, without a doubt.
Amazing. I love that. That's cool. If you weren't in marketing or business at all, what do you think you'd be doing?
Teaching, probably
All right.
teaching or coaching. I just like to educate and like to coach and like to help others.
What's your best advice for a first-time CMO?
Focus on alignment. The CMO's job is really to align the organization, the sales team, the finance team, right? In terms of the CFO, in terms of how much investment, and the sales team and the partner team, getting alignment. Something that no CEO or no job description will tell you that a CMO needs to do.
Tamir, wonderful having you on the show. For our listeners, you can go to Trintech.com to learn more. Go nudge your finance team. AI financial close software. Who doesn't like a good clean financial close? Tamir, any final thoughts? Anything to plug?
No, just want to thank you, Ian, for having me. It was a pleasure, and looking forward to doing this again.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Tamir. Appreciate it. Take care.
Thank you.